Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show are two guys whose highlights I used to do on the back end of my SportsCenter career. And here we are 20 years after their drafting, just 15 spots apart back in the day. Now, teammates once again for fifth straight year, and their Knuckleheads podcast that can be found in the Players Tribune. It is Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
You got it, Quentin. Absolutely. I remember doing your highlights back in the day when you guys came up for the Clippers. It's like a reunion right now, the three of us.
Yes, yes, it is. I remember it well as well.
Yes. So when you're getting ready for talking about a draft right now, what are your draft day memories? You first, Quentin. What was that like for you 20 years ago now?
Best day ever. Best day ever. I can remember. I was privileged enough to be able to go get invited to the green room, and for me, obviously, I got picked 18. I felt, and I still feel today I should have been picked higher. So even though it was like getting drafted at 18 was tough for me, everything was kind of worth it once I saw I was going to the Clippers and I was going to be with my boy D Miles, and it was going to be a lot of people there that I already knew. So for me, it was disappointing going that low, but it still was hands down one of the best days ever.
What about you, Darius?
Me, it was, like he said, it was one of the best days ever. Just leading up to it, just getting ready with putting your suit on and getting measured for your suit and all that stuff. I never got that done before. And, everything was just a new experience for me. And, the NBA is the biggest league ever. And, when you go in that green room, you get to walk up on that stage and you get to shake Mr. Stern's hand. Man, it was just a dream come true.
Where's that suit now? Does it exist still?
Oh, man, it's in the archives.
Couldn't tell you what's that.
Q, you don't know where your suit is?
No, I can't say that we can stick our chest out and say we aren't one of those worst suit ever's on the draft day. We were cool. We were in the middle. We weren't trying to go crazy, but we felt comfortable and felt like we looked pretty good.
All right, yeah. Now I'm mandated to ask who has that award, worst suit ever? Who's that?
Ooh, Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose is up there with that red joint.
Jalen Rose. Ooh.
Neither of you stuttered. You both just spit out the same name at the same time.
That's crazy right there. Karl Malone had
yeah, Karl Malone was pretty interesting too.
Jalen, I forgot about that red one. I remember sitting there thinking to myself, what's he doing wearing Ohio State colors? Like, what's up? It's literally the first thing I thought. Like, what's up with that? Like, I mean, he's just maize and blue through and through. I mean,
that was Detroit player status right there.
Exactly. So you guys knew each other obviously from the AAU days, right? Where did you guys first meet? Darius, do you recall the first meeting with you and Quentin?
I went to a spotlight tournament in Illinois. Our AAU coach invited me to it. It's supposed to have been the top 100 in the state. And I got invited to it. I haven't played high school ball yet. I went to where I'm from, 7th through 9th was junior high and 10th through 12th was high school. So that summer he invited me to this top 100 camp, and I was doing real good. And first time I seen Q is he came over there and was like, who was this young cat dunking and all that stuff? And he was asking our AAU coach, who was I? And, everything else fell through there.
That's when he was, 7th grade? I was in 10th grade.
Wow. How tall were you in the 7th grade, Darius?
I was 6 something. I was 6 something. I know my mom was 5'9", and I was her height in 4th grade. Like 5th grade, yeah.
What? In 4th grade?
Yeah.
Wow. I got Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson here. Who chose Knuckleheads for the podcast? Who chose that one?
It was a mutual agreement.
Yeah, it was kind of just like when we was coming up with it, it was kind of like, what are we going to call it? And then it was like, it kind of tied back into the whole thing, and it kind of just made sense. And it was like, it's kind of cool, you know what I'm saying? Like one of my favorite guys that's on ESPN, Michael Wilbon, he always says, see you tomorrow, Knuckleheads. And I always thought about that. And I was like, it could be a cool little name.
Because I was going to ask you, because I remember all this. And
yes.
Am I doing it right with this part of it, or is it okay? So I remember that,
right. You're doing it right, yeah.
All right, so this is what was this? What was that? What's the genesis of hitting your head?
So the origin story of that is, like we said, when we got drafted, Darius was 18, I was 19. So we still were very much into high school basketball. We loved the AAU scene. We wanted to see whoever the top high school players when they were gonna play. I'm from Chicago, big city, and I'm like, this LA, they got a lot of the best basketball players. So we wanted to see. And we began going to those games. And anybody that knows LA is like, D Miles lived in Marina Del Rey, and our practice facility was LA Southwest Junior College. And literally dead in between there on the road going to and from on Lincoln is Westchester High School. So we kind of sparked up a relationship with those kids. This was Hassan Adams, Bottom, Big Red, Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza is the name. Bobby Brown. Trevor probably had the biggest career of those guys. But so he was a sophomore then when we first met them. And this was originally their celebration for this was something they did with their team. But we got cool with them and they were like, yo, we would go to their practice. So they were like, yo, y'all should do our thing in the game if y'all get a dunk or something. So that's literally how it began. So we did it a game or so. And then when we came back the next game, the fans was like, yo, they encouraged and would like keep doing it. So then it became, me and D was like, man, maybe we could get it on the video game, because back then they had to raise the roof on the video game from Cynthia Cooper and all that. So we was like, maybe we could get on the game. And the first time, I think it really got big because one of the reporters asked Darius what it meant. And he gave him the old joke, like, I had to kill you if I tell you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't tell you you know what I'm saying? And it kind of grew bigger because we never told him what it meant. But I don't know if it would have been as big a deal if everybody knew what it meant the whole time. But I think that's definitely the origin story. It really was those guys, Trevor Ariza and his high school teammates. It was their celebration, and we kind of got it from them, representing them, and then it kind of took on a life of its own.
That's basically the way you remember it too, Darius?
Yeah, that's basically the way I remember. We was representing them, and like I say, we used to do it if we get dunks, and I was getting way more dunks than Q. So you start doing it for everything that he did, like a 3-pointer, everything. So I was like, he doing it a little more than me. Let me do it a little more. Kind of like a momentum thing for our team, though. But 20 years later, it's still a big thing.
20 years later, Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson here on the Rich Eisen Show. Again, right before the NBA draft and right after season 5 of your podcast, Knuckleheads, drops on the Players Tribune. Jamal Murray is your first guest. And man, I just loved every second of watching him play and just watching his star rise pretty much. And I know it came at the expense of the Clippers, but I wonder, what did you learn from him? I mean, what did you glean or learn, not from him, but in talking to him about him? What did you guys learn?
I think the whole league learned that he's one of them. Like now every team has a solid point guard. And now when you're going against the Steph Currys, you're going against them top point guards, now Denver has a point guard that can compete with them point guards. And I think the whole league know that now.
Yeah, I think one thing I learned from him is obviously I knew this already, but he was a picture of toughness being shown in different forms. Like, a lot of people think toughness is when you see a big physical strong guy or a brute who can knock somebody down. But I think he and his whole team, to come back from 3-1 that many times, he showed toughness, perseverance, and determination. And then, as you said, obviously, he put the entire league on notice that he's a superstar. And right now, like not incoming, he's a superstar. He showed the entire league that he can close games. He could go 30, 40, 50. He could lead his team. He could bring his team back. He's a superstar.
All right, now let's try and spit a little truth here. Then why do you think the rest of the league reveled? You saw NBA Twitter just lit up when the Clippers went out 3-1. Why do you think the rest of the league seemed to really enjoy that loss of the Clippers? Why? Help me out.
I think the expectation for them was so high. The expectation for them was so high, and we're in a day and age now. You can't slip up like that. You gotta walk it like you talk it. So if you're gonna talk it like that, you definitely gotta walk it. So when the expectations, you didn't even make it to the Lakers, I feel like you deserve to get everything that you had coming.
Me, we we Clippers guys. We Clippers homers and all of whatever you want to call it. So for me, it was I picked them to win a championship this year. And so I think it was a situation where I can't say them each to a man and call them out as a man individually, but as a team, it looked like they took everything for granted. Like it was a foregone conclusion. We're going to get to the finals. We're going to play the Lakers. We're going to do. It was like they were nonchalant about it in their effort for it, and that was what was shown. I mean, the glaring things were obviously they had a lot of injuries back and forth and people leaving the bubble and those things. But I mean, even still, it was kind of like their attitude. Where was the sense of urgency? I didn't see a sense of urgency out of them, and that was disappointing to me because I really felt like they had a team to win it.
Well, especially since at the end, I know you said you don't want to call anybody out specifically, but so let me do that then. I was particularly surprised to hear Paul George say afterwards that this wasn't going to be the year anyway. That they needed some time to gel, or that they, somebody who clearly was contractually there for at least only 2 years to say, well, there's more runway here. That one really surprised me. That one kind of took me aback after you lose 3-1 like that. What about you guys?
It surprised me too, but like, I'm a diehard Clipper, so
I know.
I want to ease up on them. I just feel like they just really didn't get the chemistry how they want. I feel like they was a very talented team, and just talent was beating a lot of teams that they was playing. When it came down to the X's and O's, the I know your play, we know your plays, and we got to play it out for these 7-game series. I feel like that caught up with them. They had a lot of new players on the team, injuries, guys not there, and you got to have that chemistry. Guys got to be together. Guys got to bond. Like every championship team has a special bond that season that they can never forget. It lasts the rest of their life. You could never forget this championship season we had together, and it's a different type of bond. And I feel like they just didn't have that, and they didn't get the opportunity to get that.
Yeah, I think the evidence was in the changes that were made, man. I think when you have like I say, from the outside looking in, it looked like it was not a sense of urgency was lacking there. So I mean, when you can't hold the players accountable, it goes to the coach, and it fell right in Doc Rivers' lap. You know what I'm saying? Like rightfully or not. And I think it's a situation that kind of stamps it when you hear one of the star or lead players come out and say this wasn't the year. Like, why would he be thinking that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that should have been like when you say that surprised you, it surprised me, it surprised D, that surprised everybody. I would expect his teammates to have, like, if somebody was sitting next to him, to be like, what? Like, we was like that. And for me, in my mind, when I heard him say that, to me, that meant that the message, the battle cry, you know what I'm saying, the sense of urgency wasn't there. Like, that's a situation where he's saying, like, if you a championship type team, if you listen to those Lakers, it was a battle cry. It's a togetherness. They all on the same page that the time is now. You can't have one of your top guys saying that this wasn't the time, or we had we playing a long game or something.
Yeah.
So how do you think Ty Lue's going to rectify this or change it? How do you think his hiring, what do you think of it?
I think he don't care about none of that. I think he had an opportunity to see what was wrong, like right there by being the assistant coach. I feel like he know what he has to change within himself. I like his coaching staff that he chose. There's a lot of wisdom and stuff in assistant coaches, and I just feel like it's a new voice for everybody. It's a new start. They finna make a lot of moves, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like T. Lue, the best thing he has going for him is, like, obviously he's a championship coach and he's gonna come in with a fresh voice, but he had front row seats to see everything that went wrong. He knows everything that needs to be corrected and everything that needs to be fixed and situated. He had front row seats to see that, so he has that inside look and that inside track, and he can go in with his ideas and his fresh thought process and say, this is how I'm going to approach this and right these wrongs or fix what's broken over here and over there. So I think he has a real good position on that.
So in the few minutes I have left with you guys, Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles, the Knuckleheads podcast. It's going to be on the Players Tribune for 5th straight year. Just dropped yesterday, the 5th season, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I let you go, let's chop up the idea that Harden wants to maybe join Kyrie and Durant in Brooklyn. What do you guys think of that? Quentin, what do you think of that idea?
Championship.
That's what you think, Darren. I mean, look, I think so too. But Nash being the coach, I don't know if fans would like it either. You know what I mean? Like it's a return to, I thought we were done with super teams, but maybe not. What do you guys think?
I think, listen, man, I'm excited for if that could happen. I'm excited for my main man Steve Nash and Amari over there, because like D said, I mean they already are a championship caliber contending team in that little group. But I think if they get a James Harden, you add that to Kyrie and KD, that instantly puts them in that top 1 or 2, 3 of positions for the championship odds. So for me, I'm excited from that standpoint. And as far as all of the super team, I mean, everybody's still teaming up and banding together and doing those type of things. Maybe not 3 or 4 guys with the LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh, but I mean, it's still a lot of tandems all over the league. So I mean, I don't think it would be something that would be that crazy or that scoffed at. And I mean, I don't think that would guarantee them a championship either. I think that would put them right there at the pinnacle of it. But I mean, we all know that it's a lot that goes into winning a championship. So I think that would I would be extremely excited for Stevie to be in that position in his first year.
Me and my friend was talking about today, if that combination happened, who will be the Chris Bosh of that?
That's a great question.
Who will be the that combo with Kyrie and KD and James? Who will be the Chris Bosh of that combo?
That is a great question.
Because what you're implying, for those who might not be fully aware, is somebody's going to have to take a step back. Somebody's going to have to give up a couple shots here and there. Certainly a little bit less than they're used to feeding.
The interesting thing in this dynamic is that the person who would probably be the most willing to take the step back is the person who shouldn't. He's the best player out of them all. Like KD has the personality where he would probably say, "Hey, don't worry about me, but you the alpha, you the best player, so it can't be you that says that." So there's the scenario.
I think Kyrie will have to turn into a different type of point guard.
How so?
He more facilitating, more passing, and and we just need you to get them big shots when we need you. But it's not going to be, he's going to be the guy that averaged close to 20. I think KD and Harden should be the guys that average 25 or more. And Kyrie be the guy that averaged the 20 or the 18 to bag them up. And I feel like that's the championship recipe. I feel like if it be any other way, if you try to put James Harden in the 3rd position, which is probably the best scorer in the league, you try to make him the Chris Bosh of any situation. What team can he go to when you make him a 3rd?
Great question. So, and then I guess just wrapping up, pulling on this thread here, don't you think Nash, that would be obviously a major coaching task for him, but don't you think Nash would be able to talk to Kyrie about exactly what you're talking about? Don't you think he would be able to at least say to him, point guard to point guard, bosh this up a little bit? You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the reason that it's championship guaranteed. He got the guy that facilitates more than anybody, the guy that everybody wanted him to shoot the ball so much. And he's the guy that's trying to tell Kyrie, we just need this out of you to win the championship. And I think he'd have got to do it.
Yeah, for me, Steve, that's like if we were all like X-Men and we had superpowers, that's Steve Nash's super mutant power, is that he can make it work. Like I watched him with our season with the Suns. It was me, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, and Mari Stoudemire. And we, everybody had their egos. And Sean was an all-star, highest paid player on the team. I had just got a contract. Amari was about to be a superstar, and Joe was just on the cusp of becoming who he became. So it was like Steve was amazing at being able to keep everybody's personalities and everybody's attitudes in check and made it work. So, I mean, I feel like if anybody has a great chance at doing that with this group, I feel like that's what Steve Nash brings to the table, and that's his special move.
And I guess since you did mention Phoenix there, I'd be derelict if I didn't ask you guys what you thought about Chris Paul winding up in the same backcourt as Devin Booker all of a sudden. That sounds like a hell of a backcourt. What do you think of that?
Somebody don't got an easy first round bye. I know that much. They gonna face them Suns in that first round, and it's gonna be problems.
You saying that's good enough? Still just good enough for the 8 seed? Is that what you're saying? 7 seed?
I think they definitely gonna be. They're gonna be a contender. They're gonna go through that 8 through 6 seed, and they're gonna be a team that don't nobody want to play because they got one of the best scorers in the league, one of the greatest minds in NBA history at point guard. And you got some young guys like Aiden now backing that up. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I love that move for them. I mean, seeing the impact that CP made on that OKC team, and just knowing that he could do the same thing for them, and then reuniting him with his old coach Monty Williams, has done an amazing job with that crew already. And I think he'll be a further extension of the coach, and he'll make it that much more better for that team. I think they should be extremely excited out there in Phoenix.
Well, guys, it was great catching up with you. It's been well over a decade and a half since maybe we crossed paths, and it's been a long time. So it's a pleasure chatting with you. Congrats on your 5th season of Knuckleheads podcast, available on the Players Tribune, and new episodes available on Tuesday, all major podcast services, and online at the Players Tribune website. Let's do this more often. If you guys are up for it, I'd love to do it too.
Anytime,
man. Congratulations to you continually doing your thing, and we've been seeing you forever and still see you. So congrats.
Well, you guys look the same. I might look a little bit. You guys are like the fine wine, you know. But good to see you guys. That's Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. Knuckleheads podcast again every Tuesday. Jamal Murray kicked off season 5 just yesterday, right here on the Rich Eisen Show.